I'm with my buddy Trey Sperring. Trey, it's nice to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you. I missed you.
I miss you. Listen, your background's way cooler than mine. And I was gonna comment on it. I didn't. I might have commented on it before we started recording, but I'm gonna say it again. You have some
Appreciate
sweet critters in the background, dude.
I appreciate it. Well, I have to be fully transparent because where I actually sit where my computer is, it's a very boring background. So I decided to make it a lot cooler by moving the phone over here just so you could see that.
Oh, you absolutely
I
did.
look
You
more
made the right move.
accomplished that way. I look more.
You made the right move. What is the cat? I don't know what the cat is.
It's a cougar from Utah.
Oh, it's a cougar. Okay, I couldn't
Yeah.
quite see what it was.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Actually, I had to get that one remounted. So
Why?
the first one was horrible. You learn your lessons over the years with taxidermy and which taxidermists to use for certain species. And I learned with that one for sure. So I paid for 2 full body mounts just to get one cat done properly.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
That's brutal. There was we were talking Rush Simpson. He sent Jordan, my other coach for packing, he sent us a picture of his chamois and his tar from New Zealand. And I think he had somebody in Sparks, Nevada, do it. Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, he sent me the picture of the chamois, and it's excellent. Excellent. Yeah,
Really
I sent him the photo of mine back here because we kind of shared that experience a little bit. Different outfitters, but we've both done the foot hunted chamois. And I sent him pictures of mine after it was done and just for reference. But yeah, whenever his got done, the detail on the face and the accuracy was spot on. And I told him, I was like, just keep using whoever that is because he definitely understands anatomy of mountain game. So
yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. It's really gorgeous. And we're going to talk about mountain hunting and stuff today. I want to talk about your blue sheep hunt that you went on. I want to hear about you and your dad and the mountain goat hunt you just went on in Alaska. But let's talk about who you are, what you do, Neal and Brownlee, all that stuff first.
Yeah. So Trey Sperring, Neal and Brownlee. My job is to make people's dreams come true.
The best show in the world, man.
Yeah. But no, 2025 is our 50th year being in the business full time. And we specialize primarily in big game hunts across the globe. So we do some fishing stuff too, but big game hunts around the world. Started in North America only with Jeff Neal in 1975. Grew very quickly into Africa, Asia. But yeah, it's what we do full time. I have 2 partners, Jeff Neal, who's the founder, and then Greg Brownlee. It's us 3 as partners, and then we have Kyler Robertson, who you know. Kyler's kind of slowly morphed into this North America consultant role while balancing kind of the admin controller role in our Tulsa office. And then about a year ago, we brought on Parker Boswell, who solely does fishing and some bird hunting stuff. But yeah. So we're a booking agency that handles these trips worldwide.
So let's say I find you guys, I call you up and say, hey, Trey, I want to hunt. Where's the process start? Like, how does that look like for a new client coming in for you?
Yeah. So it starts with a fairly lengthy conversation just so I can gauge who they are, what their interests are, any limitations they have, specific demands, right? And then just asking the right questions, right? Like if it's something in Africa, you have to start prioritizing based on obviously budget. I mean, it sucks to say, but you can only hunt certain places in the world based on your budget, right? So it starts with budget. And then your primary species, any accommodation requests, if you want a really nice camp, or you're good with a fly camp, are you bringing in an observer, all those kind of things. And then you just start navigating and narrowing down your options and following up with the specifics of that. And once they commit to it and book it, we handle all of the details, obviously the financials, help set up your flights, the gear list, applying for your import applications if it's needed, helping get your animals home, pretty much a total turnkey service. And you don't pay any more money than you would direct with the outfitter. The outfitters pay us to handle all of the details, right? So if you were to look up a safari in South Africa or a Dall sheep in Alaska, whatever it may be, it's going to be the same price with us. It's just the outfitters are essentially paying us to handle everything.
Yeah. So it's both on their end and then on the hunter's end, it's like all of these middle ground logistics and everything that would just be a gigantic pain in the ass. You guys wipe that off the board for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's all we do, man. Like, we don't have other jobs that, supplement our income. I mean, this is all we do. We solely rely on the best service possible in order to continue getting repeat clients and referrals, but going back to that, it's also, especially on the international side, it's getting answers when you want them and need them, right? There's a time difference overseas. A lot of those guys are busy doing other things when they're not hunting and they're not available. I mean, we've been there, we've done that. We provide you a service by just being on call all the time to help you,
Yeah.
But I think truly what separates us from other agencies that are full-time, that do it on a global scale, is we are very, very loyal with the outfitters we work with. We don't work with, for the size that we are, we truly don't work with a lot of different people. So, if you were to ask me about Alaska brown bear, there's one outfitter. There's one outfitter we've been booking with for over 40 years now. That's it. And when we're booked, we're booked. So, going into that hunt, you hold a lot of weight going into that hunt because you're a Neal and Brownlee client, right? Yeah. And it's the same case all around the world, man. A Russian outfitter who also handles some Central Asia stuff with us. Jeff Neal started that relationship with him back in the early 90s, still booking with him. The Nepal hunt that you want to talk about, same guy since the early 90s. So, I think what separates us is just that you're not just a number. Whenever we arrange something for you, you hold a lot of weight being a Neal and Brownlee client with our outfitters.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot though, right? So it's not that you're not just a number, but there's stakes for everybody there, right? And I think that holds the quality for everything. It's like one of the things that you said about you guys being full time, and there's something to that when you know that you do this so your family can eat, and so there's a roof over their head, right? And when someone has those kind of stakes, they do a job differently than when it's like, oh, well, this is my part-time, I'll book you a hunt or something. There's a totally different mindset.
Fortunately, a lot of hunters have been burned by agents, because anybody can be an agent. They can call themselves an agent. They can start an LLC. They don't do it full time. Maybe they have a couple relationships with some outfitters and they can bring them some clients, but they're doing it a lot of times just for their own personal benefit, whether it's a discounted hunt or a free hunt, and there's no longevity to that for the client, right? We're going to provide the best service we possibly can, and we feel like we do differentiate ourselves with service, so that you can continue to come back and book with us for another 25, 30 years.
Yeah. And you're talking about longevity. That's the thing, right? You guys need the longevity, but also it's just when you think in longer terms like that, you just behave totally differently, and you provide a different level of service rather than like, well, I'm going to turn and burn and sell these hunts and make some cash, and then we'll see what happens.
Right. And a big part of that for the longevity, is being able to say no. Right.
Sure.
We're not afraid to say no if it's not the right fit. Especially if it's an inquiring client, maybe we haven't booked them on anything yet. And if we just do not feel like it's the right fit, we would rather say no with honesty, assuming that we're probably going to have another conversation in the future. And it's a better fit for what they're looking for. Right.
Because people respect that though too, right?
Yeah. I'm very, very honest with clients about certain things they want to do, and based on my experience and what we have to offer, man, it's not good for us. It's not good for the client. It's not good for the outfitter if we put somebody in the wrong position. You know?
I mean, I haven't booked a hunt with you guys yet, but the first time that you and I talked on the phone, I appreciated your candor. There was straightforward. There wasn't any, there wasn't like any soft words, any beating around the bush. It was like we had a straightforward man-to-man kind of conversation. I was like, okay, I can get down with these guys.
Yeah. And, I think clients naturally get a better service from us because we've always stressed that our service to the outfitter is as important to our service with the clients.
Sure.
And because if we don't have our outfitters, we don't have anything to sell. And so I'm naturally going to give clients a lot of service so that they're ultimately prepared, showing up for the hunt with the right expectations. And then that outfitter is happy to have a prepared Neal and Brownlee client.
Absolutely.
Right? And they're happy to give us more dates and continue working with us. Right. So it all works together, but it starts with us. Right. But yeah. And, it's because of bad hunts out there that we have a job.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. And things happen. Like it's hunting, right? Uncontrollable things happen, but we do our best to manage the controllables. That is, it's managing expectations and managing the controllables, right? And, you saw personally on John Mark's sheep hunt, all of those controllables were handled perfectly.
Oh, nailed.
Absolutely perfectly. We jumped, like just the little things, but, we couldn't obviously control the weather. They had found a couple of rams before we showed up that were of the age that was going to make John Mark happy, but they disappeared. Like, okay, that happens. It's hunting. It's free range hunting, right? But everything else was managed perfectly. That was a perfect hunt. And so our goal is just to try to do that, every single time. It doesn't happen every single time. It doesn't. Things happen. But, we always make things right if it's justifiable and, we're in it for the long term and it's a business,
Yeah. I think, for the people that have the funds, if you look at it, right? So you guys have been in business for 50 years, but then you take that and you chop it up by like the total experience of you and your partners. And so that's way more than 50 years. And so what are you willing to pay for that much experience is really the question you have to ask yourself. Look like that with all of these logistics coming off the board and understanding the ins and out of what questions to ask and all that kind of stuff. Because truth be told, I mean, this, I don't know that everybody else that was listening would know this. Going on John Mark's sheep hunt with him was my first ever outfitted experience.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'd have to, I don't know, like almost group think all these different things and calling people and calling my friends that have done this and like try to get all this information to be able to know what questions to ask when you're booking a hunt and to have a resource that you can just say, here's where I am, here's what I want to do, capabilities, all that kind of stuff. And to have a group of guys that can just solve all those problems for you is huge.
Right. It's hard to do and you have to earn trust and build trust. But ultimately it comes down to that. You have to trust us and trust our experience and that we are looking out for your best interest, for us to handle all of that. A lot of guys like to do it themselves and that's totally cool. That's totally fine. But some guys just don't have the time to do that. And they just have to trust that because we've put in the time for 50 plus years, right, combined, that we're going to put you in the right place and make it easy on you, So, you certainly see a lot more of the value of what we do on the international side, than opposed to just going out to Utah, right? There's less logistics involved, this and that, just less formalities, but yeah, it's a lot of years, man, 50 years. It's pretty incredible. There's a lot of value to that. A lot.
Absolutely. An immense amount of value. If it's something that you want to do and it's like, people don't have a lot of time. You said it, people don't have a lot of time. No one has a lot of time, and if you want to go have the experience that you want to have, it's worth it to take the things that you control off the board, in my estimation, for sure.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, we're really in tune with the relationships we have, and the areas go hot and cold, man, too, and outfitters do.
Really?
Like, some of these outfitters, they were great, extremely trustworthy for 5, 6, 7 years, and then they start slipping. Maybe they got a divorce, maybe they, something personal happened. They started slacking on some things, and we started noticing it. And so if that happens, we stop booking with them completely. Areas go hot and cold, like disease rolls through. Other outfitters come in, more competition. So yeah, that's another part of being full time doing this is still looking for the good outfitters in the good areas, and looking at what's not producing so well like it used to, and making some changes.
You always have your thumb on it.
Yeah, always have to have your thumb on it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think another thing that adds value to all of this is it's not just that you have the connections and you have the resources and you have the outfitters, but like, you guys go on the hunts. You know what the experience is like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a balance. We can't be gone all the time hunting.
All of
right?
them, not all the hunts, right? Yeah.
Because we truly provide. I'm very, very confident when I say that I don't think there's anybody in the industry that gets to the level of detail that we do, and certainly with the service side. So we have to be in the office to service our clients. If you pull up our calendar, there's very few weeks in the year where we don't have somebody in the world hunting. So they require service. So if we're always traveling, they're not getting that service that they deserve in real time. But we also need to go see these areas too. And some of these really high dollar hunts, these guys want to know we've been there. They want to know we've been through the process. And, that's necessary, right? So it's a balancing act that we have to do with traveling to these areas, seeing new areas, accommodating certain clients. Like John Mark Pruitt is absolutely a client that's justifiable to go shadow, right? But yeah, having the personal validated experience is very, very valuable to the client, certainly on the international side too. But yeah, and part of it is hosting guys. Like Central Asia could be a little intimidating. You just kind of host some guys that you've been through the process before, you make them feel comfortable. Like it just sometimes it's necessary to do that in order to just keep things going smoothly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that experience. Why don't you take me back to stepping off the plane in Nepal?
Man, that Nepal hunt is just such a monumental experience for the company. And I say that just because Jeff Neal always said that was the greatest hunt in the world. And he did it, in the 90s. And then Greg Brownlee did it for his 30th birthday and took a couple clients to do it. And originally I was going to do it with a very close hunting buddy of mine, Taylor Elston, who I've informally introduced you to. I was going to hunt myself and go with him. I decided not to, and I was just going to keep my commitment to him and go with him. And man, it was a marathon of a process from the start of booking that hunt to, actually going. I've got a pegboard above my computer of like little monumental things that inspire me, or like client letters to me that keep me motivated. And I actually have a scanned copy up there of Taylor Elston. It's a $1 bill. It's a George Washington, and on the note it says first dollar towards Blue Sheep. And he locked in the hunt with $1. Like, we were able to do that.
That's so cool.
And we were supposed to go in 2021. COVID naturally screwed that up. And so we got pushed and pushed. And I'm going to try not to make this too long of a story, but how it works over there is you pay a hunt rate. There's a helicopter fee to get from Kathmandu to the edge of the hunting preserve, license fee, etc. But the license fee is via auction, and you can't control what that license fee is going to be. Just like everything else around the world after COVID, especially North America, but you know, the license fee went exorbitantly high, very, very high. And it got to the point where it was pretty much, well, it was out of reach for Taylor to do financially, but we figured out a way to make it work. And so there was a lot of stress behind that, right? But you know, all that's behind us. We get to Kathmandu. You know, I've been to Asia a few times, so it wasn't anything new to me to like stop over in Istanbul and go through that whole process. But yeah, I mean, greeted by Mahesh, who is an absolute gentleman. I would argue that there's nobody still living on this planet that's as professional and as gentlemanly as Mahesh is in Nepal. He just has this extremely unique way of making you feel comfortable and special, and just I don't know how else I can put it. He's just an amazing human being.
And who is Mahesh? Who is he?
He's the outfitter in
Gotcha.
Nepal.
Understood.
He's pretty much the pioneer for that hunt in Nepal. You know, if you go to the Weatherby dinner, you know, the Weatherby Award is the most prestigious, you know, hunting award in the world. And usually most of the time the winners say his name. You know, they'll talk about their monumental hunts throughout their career. These are people that have killed, you know, 200 plus species around the world. And most of them are going to bring up Mahesh and Nepal. But yeah, so we had to go through some formalities with paperwork, getting there. Mahesh got it done quicker than normal. Usually, worst case, you have to stay at the Yak and Yeti Hotel in Kathmandu for a couple nights before you can fly out in the helicopter. But he got it done quickly, so we only stayed one night at the hotel. Yeah, it's called the Yak and Yeti. It's a cool name. It's the one cool. It's the 1 5-star hotel in Kathmandu. So it was nice. It's not like 5-star like here in the US, but it was nice.
Sure.
You know, we had a few drinks and slept comfortably. So the next morning we flew out. We flew out in the helicopter. It was about maybe an hour and 15 ride, and you can see, you know, Annapurna, and you know, you're just looking at the Himalayas. It's the craziest thing ever. And it was a clear day, so it was just mind blowing, right? Land at the edge of the preserve, so you cannot legally fly in the preserve. You have to land.
Okay.
So, land, and you land on this hill, and there's like 20 porters just waiting to grab all your gear and put them in baskets and walk everything to the nearest village. And that hike, you know, for most, certainly being prepared for that hunt wasn't much, right? It was a couple hours, and that village, which is like the original Camp 1, is at like, I think it was like 9,000 feet, 9,500 feet, something like that. Nothing high.
Nothing crazy.
So stayed there, and then purposely the next day, all we did an acclimation hike. So we didn't camp out. We didn't move camp that next day. We just went really, really, really slow, and we gained elevation on a trail that we were going to take the next day to go farther in the preserve. And we went a few hours, glassed up some tar, turned around and went back. So that was just an acclimation day. And then the next day, packed up camp. Well, we didn't pack anything. The porters packed everything. And just slowly hiked on a trail into the preserve, you know, going through like little bamboo forests, and, you know, slowly but surely you kind of get out of all of that, climbing elevation, going up this really, really, really long river drainage, and hiked all day. And we got to Camp 2, which was, I think it was, you know, 11,500, maybe 12,000 feet. Already started glassing some blue sheep there. But that wasn't the area we were going to be hunting. So we We stayed there that night. I started feeling sick that night. I wasn't feeling good. I don't know how I kept it in. I thought I was going to throw up in the middle of the night, but obviously it was the elevation. I'd done a lot of high elevation stuff, but you can't control it. I was taking Diamox, of course, but, trying to stay hydrated. I was not feeling good. I woke up the next morning and we were going to hike straight up a mountain and get over that summit. And then that was going to be our final camp. And so we were going to hike up to like 13.5, and I was not feeling good that morning. And luckily Taylor I don't know if this is the formal name for his job, but he's a helicopter nurse. Okay. He's a legit awesome emergency helicopter nurse that shows up to the worst things ever. But anyway, he had some nice drugs with him, some steroids, some nausea medication. And, he helped me out a bit there. I was able to make it up without getting sick. And that was like our official first day of hunting. So we got up to like 13.5. And then we just made a grunt of a day and started hiking all over the place looking for blue sheep. And the approach on that hunt is literally just go, 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 go. You just go up and down these drainages and mountains looking for sheep. Like, you don't sit in glass that much at all. You just go. And so it's very physical. So that was a horrible day for me, just feeling bad. But when we were coming in that evening back to that camp 3, Taylor started feeling bad. And so we were talking to Mahesh about it, and Mahesh was like, I think that you guys need to maybe go a little bit deeper in. It's going to be an all-day hike, but you're going to go down in elevation a bit. You'll probably camp at like 10 or 11. And so we slept that night, and that's what we did. And this whole time, there's been another client with us, and he actually killed a phenomenal ram on that first day we got to camp 3. He killed a blue sheep that day. Awesome ram, super heavy. And so they just stayed there and he hunted a tar. But anyway, Taylor and I the next day, all day, real slow, hiked to the next camp deeper in, just he and I. Mahesh wasn't with us. Mahesh stayed back with the other guys, and we just took a team of porters and our guides down there and camped that day. And man, yeah, for 3 full days, just busted our ass, hiking all day at that elevation. I mean, we get up to 16.5, go down, back up, seeing sheep, just not the one we wanted to kill. And, I mean, it's pretty surreal, man. I mean, you're at like 16,000. You're just looking up at mountains. Like what, like we name 14ers in the States. Like, it's a big thing. It's like, there's just numerous mountains in those Himalayas that are so big that had no names to them. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I know this is going way long, but
it's not. Keep going. So, quick question though. So, like you said, the mountains are super hot. There's 2 things that you said to me about this hunt. So the first is that it was perfect, and you'll never do this hunt again because of how perfect it was.
Yeah,
and
I'll get to that. Yeah.
Also, it was the hardest hunt you've ever done.
Yeah, by far. So anyway, the ram that it was awesome because Taylor killed an unbelievable ram. It was his dream ram. It was everything he had wanted, or if I was hunting that I would want. It was a 12, 13-year-old ram, good long side, broomed halfway up on the other, so had character, showed age. We hunted long, we hunted deep. Like guys like us, we want to earn it, right? So hunted up, it wasn't just, I mean, granted, I would kill a phenomenal ram on the first day, no doubt, but like we hunted long. Before we killed this ram, it was an all-day trek to get over to him, and it was actually the most peaceful thing I've ever seen in anywhere I've ever experienced. But we were approaching the top of the mountain where we thought that this ram was bedded on the other side. And right when we got to the top of it, the lead guide stopped, and he got this stuff out of his pocket, and he started lighting this little fire, and he started doing this prayer. And all I'm looking at is the Himalayas silhouetted behind him. He's at the top of this mountain. and he obviously knew we were going to kill this ram. He just knew that. He was doing some sort of prayer, and I took a picture of it and I snapped it, and Taylor actually has it. He's gonna blow it up. He asked for me to send him the raw photo the other day. He's gonna blow it up, put it in his man cave.
Is that the one that you showed me when we were in Utah?
I probably did. It was a
black
black
and
and
white
white
one?
photo.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Gorgeous.
It was the most like words. I don't know. It was just it was the most peaceful thing I've ever seen. And what do you know? We hiked down 5-10 minutes, and the ram's bedded right there, and Taylor shot it at like 125 yards bedded.
Wow, perfect.
I mean, it was perfect. We were above him. Perfect ram. I have to brag a little bit. I got a little creative with it and what Taylor had to sacrifice and do to make this hunt financially work. I had a handwritten letter done from his dad, his wife, his best friend, his number one hunting buddy, and his first sheep guide. They all wrote letters to give to me, to give to him when he killed his ram. And after we had taken photos and they were, caping it out, I was like, hey, by the way, you might want to open this and read these. And yeah, I mean, dude, like I get chills thinking about it. It's obviously tears of just a lot of emotion, right?
Dude, that's beautiful.
Yeah. But just everything was smooth and perfect logistically. Yeah, it was beautiful. And I told you I would never do it again. I would never do it again because I would have an expectation. I would have an expectation of what it could be like or should be like. And there would be probably a level of disappointment because it was just so perfect. Right. And it is the one, well, wild Africa is pretty uncontaminated. It's still pretty pure like it was many years ago. It changed a little bit with like trail cams for cat safaris and stuff, but that Nepal hunt is, I believe, the most uncontaminated, purest hunt left on the planet. And it's because it's because of how it has to be done. Like, you can't fly in. Money cannot buy you an opportunity on this hunt. And I'll be honest with you, like a lot of them, money can't, whether it's pre-scouting, whatever it is, right? Flying you in, make it easier. That's not legally possible on this hunt. Onyx does not work over there, right? And you have to physically be ready and prepared to hike for 3 days before you can even get into sheep country. So you can't just roll up and have a pre-scouted ram and get it done. Not possible. And just how it's done, right? All the porters, a couple Sherpas that are actual Sherpas were there. It was an expedition. It was like, it was probably a very similar experience to going through what it's like to get to like Everest Base Camp with a team of Sherpas, but it was just a hunt, Yeah, it's the best hunt in the world. Best hunt in the world. It won't be open forever. It'll close. It's closed before. And that's just something you battle and with Asia countries for hunting. But yeah, and honestly, for us as a company, it'll never be the same once Mahesh is done with it. He's already over 70. There's nobody that's like him, and maybe we do still book Nepal with somebody else, but it won't be the same. And I tell people that I sell hunts for a living. I'm not a guide. I'm literally a salesman, right? I get to go on a lot of hunts, and I love hunting. But if that was my last hunting trip, getting back from that trip, and I'm 38 years old and I never got to hunt again, I'll be totally good with it. That's how perfect that hunt was. Yeah, it was just unbelievable.
Just the expedition, the country, like the way it worked out with Taylor, like all of it.
Everything.
That's something. Not everybody gets to have an experience like that. Like that's.
Oh, I know. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I didn't pull the trigger on an animal there, but it's like I did, and it was as fulfilling for me as it was for Taylor. It
Yeah.
was
I
unbelievable.
mean, dude, that was such a classy thing to have all those people write those letters so you
Oh,
could give them to them. Dude, that's
but
class
man,
act stuff.
yeah, man, but like that makes me happy, and
Of
I,
course, yeah.
you know, a lot of guys, they have to work their asses off to afford some of these things, man, and they make a lot of sacrifices. And if I can do anything to help with that experience, man, I care. I care a lot about our clients and the experiences, and I want everybody to be successful. Um, yeah, I like doing little things like that. I do.
Yeah. Well, that's why you are who you are, and of course why Neal and Brownlee is who everybody is with that. So you've been on other sheep hunts, you've been on quite a few other sheep hunts.
Yeah.
What made this the hardest time?
Oh, dude, I lost like 18 pounds.
No shit.
um, oh, dude, I mean, you know all the scientific stuff, man. But
Sure.
you're sleeping at a resting heart rate of like 200.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
it's
Yeah.
brutal. You feel like shit the whole time. You got a headache the whole time you're there, but you're fighting through it. You're just fighting through it. But physically, man, it was like I said, all day, every day, just nonstop hiking. It wasn't, hey, let's stop and just glass to try to find some sheep. And that's not their approach there. It's literally go all day, and you're going at that elevation up and down. So now, granted, you're not carrying a pack. And I know there's like videos out there and some guys that carry their own pack. In my opinion, I don't think that's possible for an American to do, at least to the level that we did. I don't think that's even possible.
You don't live there. You know what I mean? Like you're not
Yeah.
acclimated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was by far the hardest thing I'll ever do physically. And we were not carrying packs. At the same time, it's not, I don't know if disrespectful is the word, but they want to help you, and that's what they're there for. You need to allow them to carry your stuff and feel like they earned, the gratuity you're going to give them. It's part of the experience to have your porters carrying all your gear in baskets on their head, not on their head, but with a strap across their forehead, wearing flip-flops and tennis shoes. When we're wearing $500 Kinetrex or Crispies, like slipping with crampons.
It just makes you soft, doesn't it? Like,
Oh, yeah, that's the big part about these third world countries, certainly the mountain hunts in Asia. It reminds you how soft we are. We are very, very soft. But they don't know any different. They don't know how hard they are. They have no idea how hard they are. We know how hard they are. They just don't know any different. Yeah, toughest people I've ever met by far. You can meet some other tough people in Asia, certainly. But our lead guide, and he slowed down quite a bit the last couple days, and his son, who is the sub guide, went in front, and he would stay back with us. Come to find out, he went back to Kathmandu with us, took the flight because he had to get another cancer treatment. And I'm like, I wake up with a headache, and I'm complaining that I need steroids and Zofran, and this guy's like dying of cancer, going through the Himalayas, putting up with our slow asses. So,
oh my God.
yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. Yeah.
Changes your perspective of what you're capable of. You know what I mean? Like you see what a human can do when you learn that,
Yeah.
and you're like, God, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
It's
bitching
unbelievable.
about getting 10,000 steps in. But
I know. I know. Absolutely. Yeah. Those experiences, you come home and you're, you're reminded how soft we are here. We complain about everything, and but that's just a byproduct of a very successful country and capitalism,
For sure. For sure.
and this and
Absolutely.
that, right? But at the same time, we do live in the greatest country in the world. We do.
Without a doubt.
We have
Without
it
a doubt.
quite easy, but it's good to get exposed to those people and those countries. It grounds you a bit, gives you a sense of reality. And certainly certainly shapes my character for sure. I
Yeah.
learn a lot from those people. Yeah,
I would love to have that experience.
you will.
Ever,
You will.
yeah, I mean, ever since, well, you told me that story, and I know that Rush is going to hunt blue sheep, and then like I started looking stuff up and thinking about. And years back, I read this book, and maybe you've read it, called "The Snow Leopard" by Peter Matheson.
I have
He's
not.
like he's like this former CIA guy that turned into like not a hippie, but like a very, I don't know. Anyway, it talks about him going through the Himalayas with this photographer trying to get a picture of a snow leopard.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool book. I'll send you a copy of it. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. But hearing you talk about that, and I was like, I need to do this. This is something that I need to do.
Yeah. The overseas stuff, you get a level of experience that you won't get in North America, even even Canada or Alaska. It's just the people. It's the people, the culture. You take home a lot more from the experience than even some of the greatest North American hunts, mountain hunts that you could do. And it's the people and the culture.
Yeah.
Sure.
I want that. I'm very
All that
interested.
to be said, man. I mean, it's getting hard. These North America hunts, as far as game densities go, they're getting hard. They're getting harder every year. The landscape's changed over the past 100 years, right? And I will say though, these North America mountain hunts, like these sheep hunts, like the thin horn sheep hunts, they're getting quite difficult. And I tell you, I would argue that some of those are the hardest hunts in the world you can do. If backpack, they are extremely difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just something about hearing you in the Himalayas, and like just this, you telling the story of the guy going into the prayer, and like everything's like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, obviously there's the critters, and there's the hunt, and there's the chase, but like,
Yeah.
you're not going to get an experience like that in Alaska going after a Dall sheep, man. It's just not going to happen.
You're going to meet your guide, and he's going to tell you in the first 30 minutes how many sheep he's killed, and all that kind of stuff, right? It's just
right.
There's just a different level of politeness and professionalism and just care taken overseas.
Yeah. It's almost like a humility it's nice to tap into. It sounds like,
Yeah, absolutely. You're very good about putting words to things. Like you're a great writer yourself too. So yeah, that I would say definitely that's the case. Yeah.
I think there's an appreciation for that for a lot of guys like you and me, and the folks that would listen to this conversation. So sharing that with people and getting them to have this understanding, because I think a lot of people, maybe they just like, oh, it's a blue sheep hunt, and you're going to walk up this big mountain to series of mountains to kill something. And it's like, it's so much more. It's so much more.
Yeah, it is. It is so much more than that. It's just this sense of adventure. You get home from some of these hunts and you're like, man, I really that was a big risk to go all the way across the world in the middle of nowhere, and somehow I ended up in those mountains and got home and got through that. Like you're like, wow, I got kids at home, and geez, I went on, 6 different plane flights and this and that. I was like, golly. But man, it's this addiction to adventure and risk and all of that. Like it's the hunt for sure. It's hunting the animal, but yeah, like when you're putting your hands on the animal at the end, it's more the appreciation of everything you did to get to that point,
Sure. Which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Like a blue sheep, let's be honest, a blue sheep is not the prettiest animal. It's not. Like, it's not an appealing looking animal to the eye. It doesn't have the big horns. They kind of like angle back. You can't see the whole thing unless it's the right angle. They're smaller bodied-ish. Yeah, it's just the adventure of it. It's the adventure of it. You don't do it for the look of that animal. You do it for Nepal, greatest hunt in the world.
That's incredible. That's incredible. There's something else that I was impressed by, and we just talked about this the other day when you got back from Alaska, is your dad and what he did at age 75 on the trip that you guys were in Alaska. It was like one of those things where, like, because I tell people all the time, my goal is to be able to go up and down mountains when I'm 80 years old. And then like to see these videos of your dad at 75, like going up mountains in Alaska, just kicking ass, man. That was
we have
so
no
cool.
excuse, man. We have no excuse if we're 75, 80 and we're just turds. You know, like and the guides were saying that too. I was so proud. I was so proud. You know, my dad, I put this together for my dad. You know, my dad didn't get into doing any of these adventure hunts, you know, outside of your normal deer hunts until I started, you know, doing this. And, you know, he's done an elk hunt. He's got a moose hunt next year. But he did this mountain goat hunt. Yeah, I took him to Namibia, so he's been to Africa one time, and he would have never have done these things if it wasn't for me doing this and pushing him and making him do it. And of course, every time he gets home, it's, you know, the best decision he's ever made to do it, right? Naturally. But I put this together for my dad with an outfitter that I've already hunted Dall sheep with in Alaska, it's Dillinger River Outfitters. Great guys. Aaron DeRose, the owner outfitter, is he's just awesome. So I'd already hunted with him before in one of their other areas in the Alaska range for Dall. Actually, that's who Taylor Elston killed his Dall with.
Cool.
And they have an alternate area, you know, near Icy Bay, South Central Alaska for mountain goat and brown bear. And in talking with Aaron, this late season hunt specifically, if all the conditions are right, can be an extremely easy goat for an older guy, right? It can be, and very high quality billies, big billies, lots of goats. But if everything aligns right, it can be crazy easy. And when I say easy, I mean literally driving a Polaris Ranger on the beach, shooting a goat in the cliffs from the beach, like that easy. But you have to have the snow. And there's lots of snow. It drives all the goats down close to the beach, and you're just glassing from the beach, spotting them. And, you know, if you have to climb some, okay. But typically, you don't have to climb all that much. Well, what happens naturally with the Sperrings? You know, there wasn't much snow. So, you know, it started off, we got stranded in Anchorage for 3 days due to poor weather for flying in and out of camp, because there was 2 clients already in camp before our hunting dates. They couldn't get out, so we couldn't get in. So we killed time in Anchorage. You know, his attitude was great. He was just happy to be there with me, hanging out, whatever. You know, it gets boring, but, you know, especially only 6 hours of daylight that time of year.
Yeah,
Awful.
dude.
Awful. So we eventually finally got from Anchorage to Cordova, Alaska, which is a smaller fishing village, not a lot of people. Stayed a night there, and we were lucky to actually get in the Cessna from Cordova to camp that next day. So, obviously flying in, we realized that there wasn't as much snow that there probably needed to be. So, in talking with the guides, you know, we were probably going to have to do some climbing, right? So yeah, you stay in the cabin each morning. When it finally gets light at like 9:30, you just set out on the beach, driving the beach. Hopefully the tide's low. If it's high, you're walking the beach, so you're battling that. But you're driving the beach in the Ranger, looking up at the cliffs and the Wrangles, and you know, fairly easy to spot the goats. But you know, they were high. They were high up there. There was no way you were going to shoot from the beach, at least early on in the hunt. And typically they don't have to do all that climbing. So we ended up doing some climbing in some areas that we didn't know whether or not, if we were going to get cliffed out, if we were going to even retrieve the goat if he shot it. So we were just kind of gambling and doing some climbing, right? And we ended up doing, you know, a multi-hour climb one day. Those videos I sent you, I took some videos just so I could, you know, show my mom, you know, and my brother, just some of the climbing, technical climbing he was doing, having no experience whatsoever, having done before. And, yeah, we did a multi-hour climb. I don't know, we probably climbed 1,500 feet, something like that, through the alders and the Devil's Club, and got 250 yards from a big billy and couldn't pull the trigger because we weren't going to get him. Yeah. Whether he dropped right there or rolled down, there was no way we were going to get him. So you got to swallow that and go all the way back down, and that's your day, you know? Um, but he ended up getting some opportunities later in the hunt, a couple opportunities from the beach, from the ranger, long shots, like angle compensated over. First shot was like 535 angle compensated, and then the next day it was like over 600 yards. So it just, didn't make the shots. But given the conditions, that was as close as we were going to get. And,
Sure.
did the best we could. Super proud of him. But yeah, like that was his first stiff pair of boots he's ever worn. He bought a whole bunch of gear he's never had. He's never had to technically climb. He doesn't have any experience to fall back to of like where to step, trusting your boots, just all of those technical things that you kind of have to know to get through, and he did it. And most people at the age of 35, 25, mentally would have checked out and said, no, this is too dangerous. I can't do it. He obviously didn't want to let me down. I knew that was a part of it. And I was teetering on feeling a little bit responsible if something were to happen to him, if he slipped and fell, or, do I need to step in and say, no, we need to back out kind of a thing. But he did it. And just doing all of that at the age of 75, it was unbelievable. And he had the best attitude every morning, after the failures. And and even more so than his only Africa trip, he said it was the best hunting experience of his life. So without getting an animal. So,
Cool.
I'll, forever I'll remember that experience with him, and I'm just so proud of him. So proud of him, But he's got the bug now, man. He's 75. He bought a new custom rifle after that hunt, and we're doing a shooting school, the same shooting school that John Mark does.
Yeah.
We're doing that together in the spring. So like, at 75, he's found this new passion for wanting to get into more of these, these more technical hunts, right? Keep him young,
That's what it's about, right? Like even at being able to find that passion, that love for something as you continue to go on through life. And I think so many people just hit this age and they're like, well, I'm too old to do that anymore. Or they just lose their fire and they don't have those things that they love. So it's like, man, seeing him, I've climbed up through that shit that you guys climbed through before.
Horrible.
It's awful. You slide all over the damn place. You don't know where to put your feet. Like it's awful.
Horrible.
Watching him do that was incredibly impressive. But also just hearing what you just said is just as impressive to me, because it's like, oh man, I found this thing I love and I want to keep doing it. He's 75. Beautiful. That's what it's about, man.
I know. I'm so proud of him. So proud of him. And really he's never really done any, hard training for it, man. He's just adamant about getting his steps in every day at the ranch. Like he's got to get his steps in, and he'll stop what he's doing to go make sure he gets his steps in. And, we've got goats at the ranch, and there's some work you have to do with just maintaining the goats, but like he just stays active and keeps his steps going, and he was able to do it. And more than anybody, man. I mean, that's your field of expertise, but at that age, keep it moving. Just keep moving.
That's it. You can't
stop. Don't
you
stop.
Can't.
Just keep moving. Yeah. So,
dude, there's two things: don't stop moving and don't get fat. It's like if you do that, like you usually do all right when you get older.
That's right. Take those stress off those joints if you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stress off a lot of things, but yeah, man, it was just such a cool thing to see, and I was like, just for even people to hear, because I mean, I know my listener demographics are typically like 28 to 42 or something like that. So guys and women not too far off in age from us, and like to give us all something to look forward to like that, like 75 still going up the hill. Like,
man,
just keep going.
And in fact, Dillinger, that outfit, his first name's Bob. I feel horrible that his last name doesn't come to me, but he's a very well-known sheep guide in Alaska. And I believe his last season of guiding was when I was there in 2021. but he stopped guiding at 80 or 81 as a backpack sheep guide, and he had just killed his 80th ram with a client.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, 80 years old with a backpack in the Alaska range. Yeah. So it's, as you know, it's mental, man. I mean, you have to take care of yourself clearly, but it's pretty incredible what we can do as humans and the body can do with the right minds.
Well, but just even examples like that change your expectations. You know, you change your expectations, man.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah. No, so he's got a moose hunt in Alaska next year. Sorry, in British Columbia with my brother. And so that'll be my brother's time to kind of do an adventure hunt with him at an older age. But yeah, I'm actually trying to convince him to do. I mean, financially, it's a better deal than most goat hunts. If he would want to redo it. But actually, with Chris, there's an auction tag in Utah that you know is worth looking at. So yeah, maybe I can convince him to do that in like 2026 or something. We'll see.
That would be awesome. That would be super cool. And you're headed next year. You head to Tajikistan.
Yeah.
Is that next year? That's 2 years.
No, man, I got a lot of trips.
Yeah,
I am going to Tajikistan in December next year. I am. Also Mongolia in September. Africa, Tanzania, NWT with John Mark.
Yeah.
25 is a full year. Yeah, that's right. We'll be there at the same time. We'll need to meet up in Norman Wells or something if we can.
I'm gonna time it. I have the leeway to be able to time it and make sure that we get to meet up with you guys. So I'm absolutely gonna do that. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. That'll be fun. I know you're excited about yours too.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's there's this I don't know if I should say this because I don't want to give it away. There's this quote from Jack O'Connor that says something about like, essentially you go on your first sheep hunt, right? And you either become a sheep hunter or you never go up that mountain again.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that I mean I don't even need a gun. I don't. Like, I'm happy to just take my camera, but I'm going to keep doing that, So,
right. Yeah, you definitely got the taste with John Mark's, California Ram. It's it's not that same thin horn northern experience, right? But you got your hands on a ram, so you can at least definitely appreciate the species, for what it is and understand the significance of it for sure.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, one of the coolest things, I mean, obviously we were pretty far away, but when you and I went up that one canyon and you spotted the ram that had like on the cliff face, like out on that rocky outcropping, he was just standing there posed. Yeah. Even looking at him through my 12 power binoculars from however far away we were, like it was just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life.
I totally agree. That image will forever be ingrained in my memory. It was how he was standing. It was the distance. It was a little bit of snowfall. It was the background. That ram was standing in the most pristine, perfect position and pose that you would want to see a ram in. It was perfect.
Dude, it was so cool.
And then he disappeared. Then he disappeared like after 5 seconds, like he knew that we saw him just for those 5 seconds.
That's right.
Yeah. It played out that way. But yeah, that was an image I'll never forget for sure. Yeah, sheep are amazing. They tell a story with their horns, the aging, the wear and tear, the chips, the brooming. They're very, very cool, and they live a rough life for sure. Tough winters, some of the southern ones, hot summers. Yeah, I mean, all around the world, sheep are pretty amazing, and they are. Certainly, when we get into Asia too, just the size, right? The growth in a year that those rams put on, as opposed to like what we're used to in North America, is just it's crazy.
Immense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it blows your mind. When you have a 7-year-old Argali that's 53 inches long. It's 7 years old. It's pretty crazy.
That's incredible. I want to see them all.
Yeah. Yeah, man. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I know we're switching gears here, but man, you got to see wild Africa too.
No, for sure. I want to see that.
I love the mountains and I love sheep hunting and goat hunting and all that, but like in my soul, true wild Africa is the best hunting experience in the world, in my opinion. Now, it's not going to be there forever though. It's not. Like I talk to these younger clients that can pretty much do everything. Like John Mark's a great example. Okay. He's our age. He can do most of what he wants to do. And you do need to prioritize your mountain hunts as you're younger. Absolutely. But don't have the mindset that like, oh, I'll do Africa when I'm 50, 60. No, because Africa's changing every year and it will not be the same. I promise you, when my kids are my age and 30 years from now, the landscape's going to be very, very different, for true wild Africa. It's not going to change for the ranch hunting stuff. But for these big, immense, remote, fly-in only, million-acre concession type places, it will change. It won't be the same. It's too incredible of an experience to just pass off and wait till you're older. You need to sprinkle them in every now and then with your mountain hunts.
Okay.
It's incredible. It just wild Africa. The like big game wild Africa, the elephant, lion, leopard stuff, hearing lions from camp, hyenas from camp, just the wildness, the danger, the amount of game, the unpredictability. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this, but I've read too much Robert Rourke not to want to go. You know what I mean? So yeah. I have to. The man, it's all about all the man talked about. So I have to go.
There's a reason for it. There's a reason
absolutely. For it. Absolutely. Yeah. So
all those books you read about Africa, they're so poetic for a reason. There's just something about wild Africa that just brings that out in you. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And a lot of that wild Africa stuff is tough hunting. Like it's tough shooting. It's a grind. You're going all day. Like it's technical shooting, much more difficult than what people expect it to be. A lot of that ranch stuff, like South Africa, some Namibia, it's easier shooting. There's a lot of open areas for these, easier shot opportunities, but you yourself in your position, I would totally not be surprised if you were to go on like a 10 to 14 day safari for elephant or Cape Buffalo. You come back and you're like, dude, like that was
hard. Yeah.
I think John Mark lost like 10 pounds on his leopard safari in Mozambique this year. Just all the walking, all the walking and grinding and the heat and sweating. And that's on top of eating like a king in camp.
I was going to say, you don't have to, you're not starving. All you do.
No, Africa, you don't starve. No, you're weighted hand and foot, no doubt about it. That's also what's nice about it too. So.
Which is fine. I do enough of like, I'm going to go suffer for 5 days, that it's like, you can mix in a little something else,
For sure. Yeah. It was nice getting those eggs Benedict on the side of the road when we were glassing. So
yeah.
That was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that happens. Yeah.
No, it was awesome. You walk down out of a canyon and there's just breakfast, and not just breakfast, it's eggs Benedict waiting for you.
I know. Yeah. Big Jer, that guy made a huge impact on that hunt. He did.
Absolutely. Johnny on the spot with everything. Not only that, I've told just about everybody I know that those breakfast burritos he made, some best breakfast burrito I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, they were huge.
I ate 2 of them, and they were 14 pounds. 14 pounds each.
You're like, I immediately regret this decision.
I didn't feel good. I felt terrible.
Yeah, it felt terrible. Yeah.
I'm not often peer pressured, but I was like, I'm going to show these guys what I can do.
Yeah, they were too good for you to just not do it.
Oh, I just wanted to walk for 2 days after that, though. I was
That's
like, I
right.
need to just walk and walk and walk. So, yeah, man, what an incredible experience. Mossback Outfitters did an incredible job.
They did. They absolutely did. Yeah, they handled all the little things, and even the making it easy for John Mark to get his sheep to his taxidermist.
Oh, it
He
was
didn't have to
awesome.
worry about it. He's like, hey, no problem. I'll roll through there in the next couple days. I'll meet your guy. Done. They just
Even to the processor, they took care of getting the meat to the processor.
all of those
Everything.
little things make a huge difference in the overall experience. And extremely professional. I was exceeded my expectations for sure. And I know that no doubt, we will be working more with them, in the future with certain hunts for sure.
Oh yeah. And everybody was a pleasure to be around too. The guys were all great, everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. They were very professional. Yeah. So it was fun being in camp on election night.
Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah.
That made it,
yeah.
That made it interesting for sure.
It really did. It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, oh man. Yeah. I've got a lot of trips for the next couple of years, and my trips are going to change a little bit. Having kids now, I
making different decisions.
That's right. Yeah, these trips now, they definitely justify, for the business, me being gone. Yeah, I've got a lot of Asia, Africa. I'm sick if I'm not in Africa at least once every 2 years. It's just too amazing.
That's awesome.
Asia is amazing, but it's not one of those things I'm dying to go do every certain number of years, right? It's just part of our business and I need to do it. It's an amazing hunting experience, but Asia, it's a logistical thing. It's just a logistical grind, right? It's flying over there, it's long road travel, it's high elevations, all that kind of stuff, right? But 25 will be a full year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, with your help as well, John Mark will complete his Grand Slam, the North American sheep.
I hope so.
I bring up John Mark a lot because John Mark really is a great example of a client who takes the process seriously and really prioritizes his prep. Okay.
God, yeah.
His preparation physically with you, obviously. He makes the time for it. He's a very busy person, but he makes the time to do it. But also, say the shooting, right? You've brought this up a couple times about, when he shot that ram in Utah, the confidence level, right? He was like, just tell me when I'm ready. He was just ready to go. Most people with a big monumental hunt like that, their first instinct is just self-doubt. They get nervous, self-doubt, that kind of a thing. He puts the proper prep in all this stuff, practicing so that doesn't happen on the hunt, right? So, he definitely does a great job with showing up prepared for the hunt and giving himself and the guide the best chance at being successful.
For sure. You could see it in his process. You could tell he had a process that he walked through to prepare himself for that shot. And then just watching his face as he interacted with Chris and them getting the range, them verifying yes, this is a ram that you want to shoot, and him being, let me do it right now. And it was just oh God, the guy's, he lights out. You know what I mean? He's lights out. And then he made a great shot, a really great shot.
Yeah. 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 He was pretty hard on himself, but he did miss a mule deer in Sonora recently.
He didn't tell me the story, but he told me he missed it, and then he got it the next night.
Yes, but I told him, I said, "Hey, bud, you were due. You were due for a miss.
Dude,
you
gonna
needed
miss
to
sometimes.
miss. You had done too many of these hunts with too much success, man. That honestly kept you honest. You needed to miss that deer, and I'm glad that you did, honestly, because he killed the deer anyway the next evening in a different spot. But yeah, it was good for him to do that. But he he's gone to that shooting school twice. He learned all that stuff. He practices at home. He gets physically prepared with you and your programming. He does the fully guided, does it right. Yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure working with clients that prioritize that way for these things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a level of dedication that you know that your investment is going to be met. And when you know that your investment is going to be met, it makes it much easier to work with people like that.
Yeah. It costs a lot of money to go on these hunts, and it's a lot of time away from family and work. So you might as well make the best of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. And then it's like you when you invest in the way that John Mark does, like, even let's say, God forbid, things don't go the way that you want them to, you can at least walk away knowing that you've done everything that you can effort-wise
That's right.
to make this what it could be.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That's the approach I take with setting up these things for clients, is that I think, like, let's just say a client's not successful. Okay. Of course that happens every year with multiple, it's hunting. It's hunting. I mean, so let's just say a client's not successful. I always think, like, would I have, if I knew this was going to be the case, would I have sent him somewhere else or proposed a different hunt? I always ask that question, right? And if I feel like I would have done the same thing, then I can sleep well at night, right? Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to be said for just your character and approaching everything that way.
Yeah. Well, I would never question your effort and your diligence in trying to put a client in the best position to be successful.
I look at John Mark honestly as he kind of, and a mentor in some ways when it comes to the business side, right? And his character and things. And that's why I brought that up is he does that, right? And I notice that. So, yeah. Hopefully we'll get his Grand Slam done though. We'll see.
Oh, my headphones died. We're good. We're good. We're good. I just had to switch. So
good.
You can hear me? We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. My headphones just died. So yeah, no, I honestly don't know what you just said.
No, like, just John Mark, and we'll get his Grand Slam done in 25.
Absolutely. I really think so. I mean, I know that you guys, the outfitters that you guys are going with, are incredible, and you guys will both be ready to go do it, so I feel good about it for them, so
yeah. So we'll have to
I don't want to bogart your time here, brother, so I'm glad we got to catch up. I'm glad we got to do this conversation, man. Just every time I hear about your blue sheep story and everything like that, it just makes me look forward, and it makes me, like, I honestly start ordering priorities in my mind. You know what I mean? So I can go, I want to go do something like that. So I
love that. I mean, look, I love whitetail hunting. I grew up in Texas. It's what I did for forever. I didn't think anything existed outside of deer, right? And most people that I talk to, the next step is elk. The next step is mule deer. It's kind of like that. But I love getting people outside their comfort zone and going and just go to Canada and do a bear, go do a caribou, go do a moose. Okay, let's go overseas. If people can just be more open-minded than getting stuck in their little nutshell of deer, man, the world is an amazing place to experience, and there are amazing animals to hunt and amazing people to meet along the way. You only live once, and granted, I love deer hunting, but I love getting people to go and just do something they never dreamed that they would do.
Absolutely.
And these type of conversations are great because, man, like, I think by the time you and I are done, you'll have been to New Zealand, you'll have been to multiple countries in Asia, like, you're going to be going and doing a lot of stuff, Todd.
I'm excited.
And I'm going to make sure of that.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Man. We're going to make this work, and you're going to be traveling the world when we're all said and done. So
I appreciate that very much, my friend. to help other people do that. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would they do that, Trey?
Oh, if they want to get a hold of me specifically, just, I don't know, just we're on Instagram, Neal and Brownlee, LLC. We have a website. We're not on Facebook. Yeah, Neal and Brownlee, LLC. Google it. You'll find our website. If they want to contact me directly, they can reach out to you. You can give them my contact information. Easy. We exhibit at the Dallas Safari Club and SCI conventions every year. Been doing it for over 30 years. Long time. So if they happen to go to the conventions, come and see us. I might see you for a night at the Western Hunt Expo. Say hello to everybody. Have a beer or two. But yeah, man. And I have to thank you very much, Todd, for what you do and what you bring the industry. I learned a hell of a lot from you with our time in Utah. And, what you offer in this space is different. And there is absolutely a big need for it. And I really feel like what you do, certainly with the fully guided, you are much more personalized, which is like what we are. And you match up very, very well with what we do. So I'm excited to talk about you with our clients, refer you to our guys, because ultimately they're going to be more prepared for our hunts and our outfitters will be more appreciative of us.
Yeah, man.
But I'm very appreciative of what you do and you supporting us. And one thing that I have to say that stuck with me that you said,
Okay.
how you differentiate yourself from the others in your space, is that you build your programs and then a business model around it, as opposed to some of the others just building a business model and then programming based on that. And that just stuck with me, right? It just did.
Yeah.
So,
I appreciate that. Just like you guys, I'm just trying to do this the way it ought to be done, so.
Absolutely. And you do, man. You absolutely do. And thank you for the friendship. Thank you for the support. I look forward to, definitely spending more time with you in the field in the future.
Yeah, man.
And working together with clients.
Yeah, me too. And well, if nothing else, I'll see you in August in Kanadistan. So
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
all right, brother.
All right. Talk to him.